The Factions 2 saga has been a long and winding road. Ever since 2016, when The Last of Us Part 2 was announced, faction heads have been waiting to find out about the sequel to their beloved multiplayer. We had that initial scare when we found out that a multiplayer wasn't going to be a part of The Last of Us Part 2, but of course came to find out that it actually would come, but in a different form. Since then, we have been patiently waiting for a big reveal. We have seen The Last of Us Part 2 come and go. We have seen a complete remake of the original game come out without any multiplayer included, and we have seen a retelling of the original Last of Us story in TV form. Meanwhile, Factions fans have had to claw at scraps of information, from job postings to overanalyzing the 2 concept arts that we have seen, and trying to decipher cryptic messages between the lines of any official Naughty Dog words, just to try to understand what this game might be. Well, I think it's time we find out. Dr. Pooplove here, and I am gosh darn tired of waiting for this game. To be honest, I'm going a bit crazy here. Perhaps coming off the high of all the Last of Us content that we got earlier in the year, but my balls feel bluer than the evening sky waiting for this game. So today I want to talk about when we might actually get to hear about this game and what we should expect to see. And please consider subscribing, as I plan to make an endless flurry of Factions 2 videos about tips, news, and discussions once we actually get our hands on this game. But let's get right into it. Now, one thing we know for sure is that we are supposed to be hearing a lot more about this game this year. In the blog post that Naughty Dog put out at the beginning of 2023, Neil Druckmann assured us that this would be coming. But what specifically can we expect? Well, I'll discuss that a little bit later, but this blog post gives us a big hint that The Last of Us' 10-year anniversary on June 14th will be a key date to look out for, and that we can expect some fun surprises along the way. Well, I have to be honest, I don't know what fun surprises we have received thus far. I mean, low-res Joel on the PC port was a pretty fun surprise, but beyond that, I suppose the only official The Last of Us news that we have gotten this year has been The Last of Us Season 2 announcement, which could actually be in jeopardy with the potential of this writer's strike happening. And so we may not be able to see that for a long time. But if there is actually news that we can expect ahead of the June 14th 10-year date, well, it's already May. So when can it be? Now, before I get to the when, here's the thing. We've been down this road before. We thought the Factions 2 reveal was going to happen on previous Last of Us days. We thought it would happen at State of Plays or the Game Awards, you name it. Every time we got excited, we put on this clown makeup and we were left to look like fools. But here we are again, taking that chance. So for good luck, go ahead and just leave a clown emoji in the comments. It may help us in this time of need. Okay, so here we are again. And we're looking at a rumored PlayStation showcase. And I'm not talking about State of Plays, I'm talking about real showcases that are called showcases. Sony didn't have one throughout the entire year of 2022. And we really don't know a whole lot about the upcoming plans for PlayStation, other than Spider-Man 2, which is slated for this year, and Wolverine coming sometime. So it seems like we are overdue for a big blowout of information from Sony. If, and it's a big if, they even want to do these anymore. Because God of War Ragnarok did amazingly well, and Sony was pretty quiet about that game up until launch. I could easily see them deciding that these hype events aren't really worth it anymore. But Jeff Grubb, a notable insider, has said a couple times now that a PlayStation showcase is imminent, and he's gone so far to say that this would happen before the E3 timeframe, which technically E3 is done, but that would be June, and also he said that it's a safe bet that this may be happening in the month of May. And well, basically everyone seems to be hanging their hats on this, going on faith that this has to become a reality. And certainly I think he's in the know and probably has got a good source, but we just don't know. But if this is going to happen, then Factions 2 also seems like something that should be shown here. PlayStation has stated that they are working on 10 live service games, but they haven't really talked about any of the specifics. So this would be the perfect chance to show off Factions 2 as kind of the leader of this live service pack. And there actually has been some interesting new news from Herman Hulst as well, but I'll get to that in a bit. But if the PlayStation showcase doesn't happen, or Factions 2 somehow isn't there, we do have a backup. Last year in 2022, Neil Druckmann took the stage at Summer Games Fest with Jeff Keighley to announce The Last of Us Part 1 remake and show us a glimpse of The Last of Us TV show on HBO. But he also finally peeled back the curtain on Factions 2, just a little bit, by giving us that first concept art. And, well, Naughty Dog might decide that they want to keep this tradition and reveal more at this year's event. Summer Games Fest 2023 is slated for June 8th, and this timing lines up pretty nicely with the hints from the blog post. Of course, we also have one last opportunity in this time frame that could be a possibility, and that is that there may be something planned specifically for the 10-year anniversary of The Last of Us on June 14th, because 10 years only happens, well, once every 10 years. And Naughty Dog did call out this date very prominently in their blog post. And so this could be the moment that Naughty Dog is looking to give us a proper reveal. But I gotta say, if we pass June 14th and we still haven't gotten news on Factions 2, it's gonna be rough. And I feel like this month and a half leading up to this date is gonna feel a lot longer than usual as we wait with anticipation with all these potential hopes around the corner. And if we do find ourselves at the end of June without anything and saying things like, well, there's always The Last of Us Day 2023 or the Game Awards, I think I'm gonna lose my shit. But what can we expect to see when we do eventually get this reveal? Well, for one, concept art is not gonna be enough. We need something substantial, and we have been playing this guessing game for too long. Recently, Naughty Dog has put up a job posting for a trailer editor that has seemingly been filled as it's no longer listed. Of course, they already do have a lead video editor who hinted in the past that he was working on a trailer, and that's what I expect, a trailer, but more than a tease. I mean, I think we deserve to see some gameplay. I think we deserve to get a title. I think we also deserve to get a release window. And I think we deserve, at a minimum, to actually know what this game is and where we can expect to play it. And maybe deserved is the wrong choice of word because I don't really want to sound like an entitled gamer. And I mean, Naughty Dog technically didn't even have to entertain the idea of making another multiplayer. They could have just continued making single player after single player. What I mean is we've been waiting for a long time. And I do think it would be really nice if this reveal had a lot of substance to it and uncovered a lot of the mysteries that we've been wondering for years at this point. Like, what is this game actually? Especially because this recent news has made things just so much more confusing. In a recent interview with GameIndustry.biz, Herman Holst, head of Sony Studios, discussed briefly about Sony's plans for live service games and said that out of these 10 games they have planned, they don't want them all to be Fortnite or Destiny clones. And he said that they are planned to be worthy of the IP and quality bar that Sony has set with their previous titles. And he also said that games will come to PC or not on a case-by-case basis. So I think it's time for us to know, how closely is Factions 2 being modeled off Destiny and or Fortnite? Because with all we've seen, it seems like it is pretty close. But also, what modes are planned for this game? And what is this story roughly about? Will this game come to PC or not? We may not get an answer to all these questions when they do finally reveal it, but I think it's time to get some real details. So please, Naughty Dog, I beg you to tell us what this game is. And in the meantime, I think it's a good time to reflect on the roots of Factions and how this beautiful game came to be. And that's why you should check out my podcast series that dives into the history of the original The Last of Us multiplayer. You should check it out. But otherwise, so long, Pooper Troopers.